Nobody's saying that. I haven't heard that one time.
No, you haven't heard one time that Drake may go in second?
Drake may go in second.
I'm talking about before we start getting into it. Early on, yes, it was Caleb and Drake back to back, but that died off weeks ago. Drake began to drop at least 1 or 2 points almost every week.
I got you, but that's draft season, man. They get fatigued. You know what I mean? Like if they get fatigued of seeing the same stuff. You got to get these clicks, baby. Come on, and what's gonna get them clicks? We putting everybody else ahead and putting in trades and all this other stuff, and then we get the draft day, and it's like, oh no, this is exactly as we expected. Let's go.
There you go.
New England picking up Jaden Daniels. So we got 3 out of 3 quarterbacks, of course. And then before is where I get a little different because again, everybody's assuming that it's going to be a quarterback trade or something along those lines. May go 4 out of 4. I'm saying that nope, we're going to have Arizona stand tall, stand 10 toes in, and go with Marvin Harrison Jr.
I like it.
Give them another receiving threat for Kyler. Then we got the Chargers at 5, picking up Malik Neighbors. Now we have a slight run on receiver. We got a problem going on. And then the New York Giants stepping in, picking up the hopeful quarterback of the future in J.J. McCarthy. I know that's going to make a lot of people angry for obvious reasons, but that's the Brock Purdy effect, Followed it up with Tennessee Titans. There's no way in the world they're going if they have an option like this is going to be between an OT and a receiver, in my opinion. I think it always was. I have them going with Rome Odunze, which is going to just make all my Jaguar fans mad because that's what we want. We want him to get to 8, and that's a hard one because I can see them. They already took Calvin Ridley, and then they can get Rome Odunze, and that's the obviously follow up D-Hop. That will be a problem for obvious reasons. I mean, everybody's trying to compete with Houston right now. Then we got number 8, Atlanta Falcons, going with Dallas Turner.
Boy.
I mean, I feel like that's just a layup. But they don't have enough up front right now. And then Chicago Bears picking up Brock Bowers. They got to give Caleb some more receiving options. Yep. And wrapping that thing up with the New York Jets going with Fuaga.
Sweet deal. All right. I like. I got different stuff going on. How about you, Herb? You ready for it?
Yeah. I went crazy on mine though. So a couple of these I don't believe is going to happen. Yeah. So definitely, Caleb Williams, number 1, of course. I gave Washington Jaden Daniels at number 2. Then at number 3, New England does what they always do. They trade back. Minnesota trades up to get Drake May at number 3. So instead of Washington. Arizona, I did stand pat with Marvin Harrison. Like you guys said, I know that's a popular pick to get a trade in there, but I feel like this time they stay there, go ahead and give them another weapon and see what Kyler can actually get done. Then I absolutely don't believe that Vegas should trade up with what they've got going on, but I gave them the number 5 spot and give them J.J. McCarthy. So then the Giants, they go ahead and draft Spencer Rattler.
Stop playing.
I'm just joking. I had to see Mr. U's face.
That took me a second.
I know good and darn well you ain't trying to. I knew that was
you probably missed it. He had a little Spencer Rattler kind of rant. Was a week or 2 ago. Spencer was taking stray bullets and he wasn't even in the conversation. So that's why
man.
I was just saying we don't need that in our life.
Yeah, I know, but you brought up Spencer Rattler. Nobody thought he was going. No, I gave him Malik Neighbors at number 6 since they missed out on the quarterbacks that they wanted. So I gave Malik Neighbors. Sorry, Michelle. I couldn't resist, man. I couldn't resist.
My heart didn't even skip a beat. I know that.
I went with and I think we were Joe Alt to Tennessee. I do like your receiver one, but I do think they go OT after getting Ridley. Then I went with Dallas Turner. I went with Brock Bowers. Just because I feel like Brock Bowers is a top 10 talent, and I feel like he's got to be in here, so I went with him to the Bears. And then number 10, I have the Bills trading up with the Jets, which probably never happened, but just so they could get Rome Odunze, just so they can get a wide receiver.
Wow. That's a shock.
And I'd read a report maybe a week ago that the Jets were willing to trade out of that spot. I doubt they would ever trade with the Bills. And I don't know how much draft capital the Bills really want to give up to go get a wide receiver after giving up one. But for purposes of my draft, I wanted to get that in there.
Okay. Let me just throw out if Odunze is still on the board at 10, at 10, Jaguars are trading up. There's no way. I have to believe that because I was honestly My thought was honestly that they were going to trade up with, Atlanta at 8 if he's still on the board. So if he's on the board at 10, there's no way they're not on the phone with Atlanta, Chicago, and the Jets trying to figure out what that best option if he's still on the board there. So if it does go the way you do, and from your mouth to God's ears, whatever, let's go. Like let's get that done.
I could just see because of I expect a trade up for a quarterback or two. And I think that's what's going to end up pushing him down. I don't think it's his value or anything. And then, Tennessee and Atlanta, I could really see skipping the wide receiver for sure. So then, like I said, Chicago, maybe a destination, depends on how much more they want to invest in it as well. So
I got you.
I was holding out.
It's not like his value is at 10. It's more like how the picks lie, if that makes sense. So,
no, I got you. And again, that for me, that Tennessee Titans Roman Duze pick, I know is a luxury pick, but I also do know that this is a GM who's trying to put his stamp on everything, and he's done things a little differently than the old Tennessee Titan way lately. So I'm like, I think everybody's assuming an OT, and rightfully, because Alt is a good freaking tackle. But I'm just thinking, like, what would he do based on like what he's done? Like he's gotten a smaller, faster team, got rid of Derrick Henry. Is this? I mean, it's possible. I don't know. This is curious.
No, that's a good thought. It was a good thought. I like. I
was holding out hope that Roger and Bo would get their picks in. If you guys can drop them on our Twitter post, if you can't get them in now, that's fine. We can go ahead and roll. I thought I'm trying to make it interesting. I'm like, oh, you want to wait to the last minute to drop your okay, but maybe they're busy. I dropped mine. I went ahead and just something I never do in a mock draft. Ever. Got trades in here. I got 2 of them in here. So because of that, a lot of the other picks are just like average, straight, boom, boom, boom. But yeah. So Caleb at 1 with the Bears. Minnesota trades up to Washington with their first this year and next year. And they get Jaden Daniels. So the Vikings are taking Daniels home with them. Drake made the Pats, Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals. Vegas trades with the Chargers, who are kind of itching to make a trade anyways. They trade their first this year, which is the 13th. They picked their first. They trade their first. They trade their 2024 third round pick and a 2025 second round pick for JJ McCarthy.
How weird is it that we made the same trade?
Yeah. I think the Chargers are kind of down with it.
Right.
Only way they stay there is they don't anything they like. I think they actually want to do this. And if I know Harbaugh at all, I know that he sees the needs on this team and how many draft picks they got. He needs more people. he needs more help back there. So I can see that happening. So with that, I think I'm with you that the Giants take Neighbors. I think it's going to be helpful. I think they're going to fix the quarterback thing in the second round, just not right here. Joe Alt going to Tennessee, I think it's a wise idea for Levis. I mean, based on what I saw last year, I think Levis should be at Alt's house sleeping over at this point in time. Dallas Turner, high speed, short arms, going to Atlanta. I think Adunze is going to the Bears in this. What they tried to do when they brought Claypool in is they tried to get what Adunze is. I mean, for me, when Claypool first came out, I said, man, the Steelers got a baller. I mean, he had 6'4", catching 50-50. He was just doing what you're supposed to do. I don't know what happened.
Contested catch monster.
It was a dramatic fall off. I don't know what. Maybe it's all mental, but something happened after that first year or so. Just maybe Big Ben not being there might have been a part of it, but it was just a big fall off. And it's like ever since then he's just been dangling. I feel like Rome is the guy that they wanted when they got Claypool over there. So I think that they're gonna definitely appreciate having him. I know Caleb Williams will. In this with the Jets, they're gonna take Bowers. I think. I don't think there's another trade for them in there. If these trades happen like this, I think they're gonna take Bowers, give Rodgers a safety net, so to speak. They got talent out there, but I think the tight end area is lacking, and lost their boy, who was his boy. I forgot his name. I think it's Tunyon, Robert Tunyon. Came over with him, and guess he didn't hang around. I thought he was great, but I don't know. He's not great with Zach Wilson. He was great with Rodgers. He wasn't great with Zach Wilson. So I guess that's what it boiled down to.
The injuries, man, that turned it around though. That's what it was.
Everything around, brother. So, man, Roger and Herb still didn't get their Roger and Bo didn't get their picks in, man. But that's our top 10. So how you feeling about it? You think it's going to happen somewhat similar to this, or we just hoping for the most chaos in this draft?
Well, I don't know, man. Them trades, that's the kicker. Like, again, you have to assume at least one trade happens in the top 10. Yep. I'd be crazy not to believe that, especially with the top 3 receivers, and receivers being the most expensive thing in free agency these days. You have to assume that need matches with opportunity. Like, somebody's going to have to trade for these quarterbacks. Somebody's going to have to trade for these receivers if 2 of them get picked in that person on 5, 6. So. Yeah, man. I can see it happening the way you guys are talking about.
The Vikings and the Raiders. I mean, I've been saying it for several weeks. I don't know if everybody agreed on the show, but the Vikings and the Raiders, they have to do this. I mean, I've seen their cap money. Yeah, man. They have.
I think the Vikings have to do something. I think because of Justin Jefferson, so they got to show them that they have some kind of plan. Bingo. So I see them more than the Raiders. And to your other point, I think we've probably hit on like maybe 9 out of 10. Like, these players are going in the top 10, just maybe order, might be switched around or whatever, or team might be switched around. But I really feel like these are the players that are going, in there. The surprise may be to who, but
you're probably talking about it more next week though. But Devontae, I saw this morning, but we didn't have time to get prepared for it like I wanted to. But he changed his tune. He's been talking about routinely not staying anymore. There was even rumors of him going to the Jets to be with Rodgers. And all of a sudden, his tune has changed now. He's like, I'm happy to be here. I want to be here. I know good and well there's no way they're not getting a quarterback in this draft. Mm-hmm. Just because if I went by that alone, forget everything else, just that by itself, there's no way in the world he's trying to find somebody to throw the ball to him. He's happy now. He want to stay there. He got a youth league out there that he's fostering and stuff. Somebody got to give him the ball, and it can't be somebody last name Connell. It got to be somebody else. So they got to do something. They can't get no Rattler and the guy from Tulane. They can't do all that stuff. They got to be somebody else.
But they can but the Raiders can get a Bo Nix. They can get a Penix. They can get one of these guys without trading into the top 5.
I don't think they can.
That was I think they can at 13. I think they're doing a lot of work on Penix and Nix.
They ain't getting past Denver.
You think Penix and Nix? You think Penix and Nix will be gone by 13?
Yeah.
No way. 0% chance. Like 0% chance that happens. Like, I could see one of them potentially being gone, maybe around that 15 mark, and I think that would be high.
Somebody who's that? Okay, wait, hold on. Let's get into the top 15 then, because somebody else is
right. Because we predicted, we all gave our mark on the top 10, and I think for the most part we were all in a general agreement. Right. So you're saying that those 2 quarterbacks are going to go between 11 and 15. They're at 13. Between the 11 and 13. Oof, I don't know about that one. That's major trade-ups between those 3 spots.
There's another team that was talking about trading up to, not as vigorous as the Vikings and the Raiders, but somebody else that someone moving up to. It wasn't the Steelers, it was somebody else that was talking about moving up.
You said, and it wasn't the Steelers?
They are, but they're talking about them, but it's not them, it's somebody else. Who's at 11, 12, and 13?
Yeah, we got the Vikings, I believe, were 11.
Yeah.
Bear with me a minute.
Right now it's the Vikings, depending on, but we had trades going up. But the Vikings would be at 11, the Broncos would be at 12, and the Raiders would be at 13.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, I don't think. I think there's no chance that those guys are all gone from the board, like at that point, without them trading up. So they have their pick of those, other guys that's not the top 4 to 5 guys, like in my opinion, at least.
Right.
And if that is the case, they have options. Those are not too scrubs as far as the quarterback play. They just need a little bit more, a little bit more seasoning.
This is
they're like the oldest quarterbacks. So I don't know if they're gonna get more seasoning.
And I think the other team, believe it or not, I know you ain't gonna believe it because everybody thinks it's gonna be staying pat, but it's New Orleans. They've been another team that's been in the rumor mill in regards to doing something at that spot, because I don't know. It feels as though they almost had to make a change. I know that Carr hasn't been there that long, but it feels like they had to make a change there. And you feel like I don't know how to work the money out. I don't know about that part. I haven't dug that deep into it, but that's the other team. It was the Saints and the Steelers I was hearing about that were thinking about doing something because they don't have, I guess, confidence at the quarterback position. So I think those are the 2 teams that I was thinking about.
I mean, that's not crazy. right?
You know, I mean,
like,
that's why I'm like, I just can't buy that they would let that anybody would let Penix fall, but so far down. I don't care what his injury history is. Let him fall that far down. And most of the guys in the back half of the second round don't really need anything in that realm. They need wide receivers and they need running backs. And I think some of them, like you guys seen, like the Jags and some other ones, they don't need that. They need other stuff. So quarterback's not really their problem. So I don't. That's why I said I don't see Penix falling, but so far. So that's why I said that. But we'll see. We're gonna have fun with it, man, because the draft is gonna be coming up in a hot minute before you know it. But I want to go ahead and jump into this poll. Right. We're gonna put a poll out. I don't know if you saw it, Trav. Should have tagged you in there somewhere in the comments. My bad. But most hated college football teams. Now I'm sure Herb has his own reasons for some of the choices that he put in the options for the most hated college football team. I'll let him speak to that if he'd like to. But that poll was I forgot how I kept it in bookmarks so you can see how many how far it got in the in the growth stage.
Yeah, 324 votes.
Ooh, it's not bad.
324 votes. How many days? Was it like 5 days in? Okay.
This is 6 days. I did it for a 7-day one, so it technically has 1 day left, but it's really stagnated at this point. It's pretty much done.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot
really
of
get them like 90% of your votes like the first 3 days. Say again?
Yeah, in other sections, a lot of other names that weren't in there, but I don't think it was consequential. So he had Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and of course the Michigan Wolverines. So you want to go ahead and speak to this man and speak to the results?
I want to hear what you thinking. No, Travis, on those teams, or
well, I'm thinking of because I live in Florida, so in my head I'm thinking of all right, most hated college football teams. All right, yeah, those are hated, and then I'm just like, yeah, but I'm a UCF alum, and we hated on by everybody because it's national championship thing, which Alabama and Georgia and all these other teams have all done, claiming a national championship based on the old polling system. So my mind immediately goes back to that. We getting all the hate on all the socials because of that. What was it, 2017?
But I think that was more like I just think it was more short-lived versus being hated like
historically.
Overall.
We haven't been good enough historically to be overall.
If you put UCF in that poll, he would have got vilified.
Yeah. And so what I did was
my circle.
Well, I understand, and that's to your point. It's definitely a regional thing because there's like I had a couple. We'll start with the comments, like the teams that weren't listed. Late there was 3 or 4 people that put out Texas, and one guy said it's Texas and it's not even debatable. And he said, I'm sorry, he said it's Texas and that's not even a debate. And I of course responded that's debatable because people kind of hate Texas, but they more hate the Texas is back part of it than that. So, but Texas was when I mentioned to several people, Miami was somebody who just barely missed, and Texas was somebody who just barely missed as far as like maybe their 5th or 6th options. So
the reason that Miami would miss is simply because they haven't been back yet.
Right.
Because it's a recency bias at
Correct.
that point. But again,
Correct.
if you said we're having this long tail conversation, we're talking about historically, then Miami probably should be in there because they were. Yep.
I agree.
Good.
They were definitely number 5. I honestly would have probably put them in before Michigan, like historically, but Michigan was for Mr. U because that's how this conversation started.
No, it wasn't for me.
Did you see his face? Did you see his face?
Yeah. I'm used to that. I get that face about 3 or 4 times a show, so I'm kind of used to it at this point.
That's not true. But the Texas thing is like I feel like I should hear it. I don't have to be a Texas fan. I should be able to hear it. If it's hate on that level with that amount of decibels, I should be able to hear it no matter where I am. I should be able to hear it. I don't hear Texas like that, but
I do.
And I say Michigan should be higher up in the rank. I'm not saying that stuff. The polls are what they are. The votes are what they are. Michigan was dead last.
Yeah. So 46% went to Alabama, 23 to Ohio State, 17 to Notre Dame, and 12 to Michigan.
And USC wasn't even on that list either.
Oh, it's funny though.
Or Notre Dame.
They did. Notre Dame was on the list.
Notre Dame was on.
Yeah, 17.3.
17. Okay.
Yeah. USC wasn't even mentioned like in comments though either, or to anybody that I like text polled. So that was interesting. Yeah. I think if you go back to like the Reggie Bush days, you're probably saying yeah, but since then it's kind of been like not as much. So
right.
Unless Oklahoma fans, I'm sure if Oklahoma fans had this.
I mean, basically, you're just naming everybody who had their dominant seasons, whatever that was. Let's say 7 years, 10-year time frame. And if anything more, you're naming anything like that, and then you're probably going to have an opportunity to be on the list.
But see, here's the thing: Georgia has been dominant, and they're not on the list. And the only comment made was by a Georgia person who thinks they're hated. So it's like it's not just dominance and reasoning bias; it's other things that go into this.
I mean, okay.
And I think Alabama is traditionally hated. Our home conference hates us. I told him one time, I said, if Alabama won the national championship and they gave everybody in the conference $10 million, the whole conference would still root against us and say, we don't want the money. We just want Alabama to lose. That's how bad it is. But Georgia won back-to-back and had a chance at 3 in a row and didn't get any of that kind of hate. So it's just different.
That's interesting. And but maybe it's because of how Alabama won versus how Georgia won. Because Georgia's just won like a normal football team. And that's a little different. But Alabama won because they started integrating, you know, the Bear Bryant years. That's different. They started taking those kids from Florida A&M. All of a sudden they turned this mostly white team to a black and white team from Florida A&M winning national championships to being, you know, you're not hearing much from them at that point. So maybe it's about how they started winning and they kind of changing it up in an area that's the South. That's not about that black and white mixing life.
I wasn't here for all of it. Like I moved here my senior year of high school. So we jumped kind of into the middle of it. And we weren't relevant like for the first 10 years that we were in Alabama. So we didn't know a lot of this. But then Saban came here and it was just kind of like, you know, and then of course you get social media. So you feel it more now than, you know, probably then. But yeah. We got a lot of hate. So
this poll is weird. In that there's so many tentacles to this. It's like I don't know how we can even get past this and move on to the next thing. I don't know how we do that because it's like all I see is Michigan hate. I'm like, I get why, because I mean the things that have happened, the way that they happen, especially on the field, it's like people don't want to accept what happened. So I get that part of it. But it's like, if you take them off, who are you going to put on in their place? I mean, all I hear about from people who don't even live nowhere near, they're not even a Big Ten fan, and they still got a comment about Michigan. That's why I said they have to be on this list. Who do you put in their place? With the Notre Dame part, it's weird to me because I'm like, you know what? If you listen to a Notre Dame fan, they have a good reason for why they're independent and the things that they want to be involved with. I respect what I heard. I don't know all the information, but I respect that they didn't want to, I guess, in a way, sell out to the to the machine to do what they would. I mean, I'm cool with that part of it. I don't hate them for that. That's not.
But Mike made a good point about Notre Dame and their lack of conference affiliation, and the fact that they do play so many teams is like every conference ends up hating Notre Dame. Like we've always disliked Notre Dame down here, so I could see their inclusion. And like I said, with the people I text, everyone mentioned Notre Dame, so it was definitely a team.
What's their reasoning?
I just told you, because like they're not part of any conference, but they're playing all the conferences, and it's kind of like Notre Dame holds themselves at a loftier standard, even though they're not doing anything or accomplishing anything. So we all just kind of hate on them and want them knocked down.
Oh, so they better than everybody because they don't want to get in the mud.
I mean, but they kind of feel like they carry themselves as better than everybody else because then they always have that built-in excuse of, hey, man, it's harder to get here. It's harder to get in here. It's harder to recruit. If you can win here, you can win anywhere because it's more difficult. So if you're a fan of any other team, even when you win and they always have this little get out of jail free card in the back pocket, you might feel some kind of way. I can understand that.
Okay, I give it that. Man, I don't know. So I guess people have spoken and they said that Alabama is the most hated. I still get Michigan hate stuff coming on my timeline. I ain't even talking about. I ain't posting nothing. I'm not saying I ain't doing no videos.
Yeah, but you're not alone in that. I get that when nothing's going on.
But again, like y'all said, it's regional, so it depends on your following. If that is mainly seen by your following, then whoever the vast majority of your following is, they're gonna be like, "No, we are the most hated because everybody want to be hated on. Everybody want to be disadvantaged."
If you're not being hated on, then you're kind of irrelevant. So it's like people gotta dislike you,
right?
So you want to be number one on.
I'm just gonna say I don't mind it. If we get to a point where everybody's not hating Alabama anymore, that means we're not doing anything right.
Right. He ain't trying to say it out loud, but he's loving it. He's relishing it.
We went 13%. Do you think we didn't do enough to get a better percentage than that?
I don't think you did enough. I think it was 1 year, and that's all we really paid attention to.
1 year of domination.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
And 2 days after the national championship, Nick Saban retired, and everyone forgot the championship. It was the biggest news story, Nick Saban retiring.
That's very hurtful.
You pushed me to it. I was trying to be nice. I was trying to not go into that. You pushed me to it.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see if Alabama is going to be able to retain their previous levels or even something close to this previous levels of dominance now that the NIL has kind of changed the game and it's going to be obviously a different coach.
It's definitely harder, year to year now because I'm already bracing like, what's the spring transfer window? You know what I mean? Like, It's like, who are we about to lose in the next couple of days? So it's already hard. I will say this. Coach Saban set up DeBoer better than Saban was set up when he got here. There's definitely a lot more talent, but the playing field changes every day now. So with these transfer windows in NIL, who knows?
No, that's fair.
All right, man. This is an awesome show. As usual, hate to be ending on a negative note.
Yeah, thanks to y'all too. What negative note, man? You got a national championship, man. I promise you, if we had won the national championship last year, couldn't nobody say anything to me.
They can't tell me nothing. I ain't trying to hear it. I'm saying, but this 13% is like, these same people that's voting, they were probably some of the main ones on my timeline. I didn't go back and check because I ain't got that kind of time. But 13% under Notre Dame? Really? Wow.
I mean, I'll go back and vote for you, man.
Ohio State's in there probably because of the years prior to recently. I doubt it had anything to do with the last 3 or 4 years. I doubt that very highly. They pulled that one from the archives. That hate came out of the treasure chest. That hate. That's nothing recent. They ain't did nothing. So I don't know what that's about, but okay. it's all good. Yeah, man. I want to touch a trap. How much time?
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
I got a tiny window. We can go ahead and use it. We can go ahead and use it. My allotment ends on the 17th, so I got let's go ahead and just roll with it. All right, cool.
I have roughly 9 minutes before I go.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh man. Okay.
We can touch on it. Let's go. It's my job, so we can go. Let's go.
All right, real quick then. Strongest and weakest draft groups in this year's draft. I know you're gonna say quarterback, but beside quarterback, what's the strongest group out here?
And wide receiver, because it's like 7 of our top 10 is those 2 people. So what's after that group?
What's after receiver?
That's the question.
Offensive tackle, I would guess.
My
my answer was definitely going to be receiver because you can get starters up until the third, rounds 3, maybe even 4 if you're lucky. Yep. But maybe if not that, then you're probably talking OT.
Yeah. Okay, now when we talk about strongest, you guys talking about there's more of them or there's more of a higher quality at the position? Because that's 2 different things. So what we talking about?
Wide receiver is probably highest quality and deepest. If you're picking one of the first wide receivers, you're getting somebody really good. But if you're picking a wide receiver in the second round, you're still probably getting somebody pretty good. Any other year.
After Xavier Leggett, who are we talking about then?
I have to go through the names, but this is like I was just listening.
Yeah, you say after Xavier Leggett. I mean, Xavier is going to be projected what to go? Maybe best case scenario, you're talking like middle of the second, early second, like it's probably ceiling.
It's been early second point I've been seeing so far.
I mean, so we're talking like wide receiver, maybe what 6, 7, 8 range before we start getting a fall off between number one, like true, reasonably considered number one options. That's not bad at all. And again, I would even argue that it goes by Xavier Leggett, honestly. So that's a hard one.
Yeah, if you're using Pro Football Focus as a measuring stick, they're saying wide receiver and then of course OT and cornerback. Honestly, I haven't dug into the cornerback. Maybe that's what we'll do since next week is just all draft anyway. let's do a little leg work and get into that with more
You got
detail.
Jerry and Jones and Ronaldo Green from FSU. You got Mike Sandersfield from Michigan. We're still talking corners, but we're talking slots though. Obviously, slots are still corners, baby. I mean, there's a lot of guys, man, who are available. And again, you're talking third, fourth round, even who can be like legitimate starting corners. And this is outside of the top guys, obviously Mitchell and Arnold. So yeah, I can see cornerback being up there too. I didn't think about it though.
Yeah, and especially with this run on offensive players early, those kind of positions getting pushed back a little bit, you're gonna find some good stuff without having to move up for it. So
yeah, guys like Tyler Newman, man, people are chomping at the bit to get their hands on him. I know he got mocked to us recently too, because we got a safety opportunity on our team. So if Newman falls to us, there's nowhere in the world that
safety's really light. Safety's like one of the weakest, if not behind maybe tight end. Safety's like one of the weakest positions. So if you don't get one of your top guys,
linebacker too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, linebacker's not bad.
Yeah. Linebacker's not.
I wonder, do you count running back as a weaker group, or just the position value is gone and you're just going to get somebody late no matter what you do now?
I think it's both. It's a mixture of both though, because just last year you had Gibbs that went in the top 10, and that was last season when the running back was
Bijan.
Yeah, when the running back position was in shambles, like it was in flames, and they somehow went in the top 10. So it may be a mixture of both. But I mean, your highest rated running back this year is scheduled to go what? Second, third round?
Second, maybe third, yeah.
Yeah, like that's your highest running back. That's wild.
You might see 6 and that's it.
So
it's not strong. Jonathan Brooks is the name you hear, despite his ACL tear, and then you hear Jalen Wright. Forgot what team he's on, but those are the top backs that you hear about most of the time. There's another guy too. I think he's from Texas. It's another guy whose name I've been hearing a lot. But aside from that,
Jalen,
it's not.
There we go. There we go.
Are
we gonna get the fireworks too? Yeah.
I'm like, have them close up.
I told him I've been listening to a Dallas podcast a couple of times just to kind of get a feel for what they were doing, and they need a running back, and they're just like, third round or after is where we're going to find it. So that just kind of tells you where the position's at. Even teams that are like, we need to get a running back, it's not a priority at all.
Yeah, and if you got 3 rounds to pass to get other talent, why would it be? Shoot, that's easy.
Yep.
I love the edge defender. I'm hopeful for something to happen there. There's a lot of meat on that bone in this draft. If you need an edge guy, you got Dallas Turner, you got Jared Verse, you got Latu. Yeah,
that's been a fun conversation because there's been a lot of argument between which one of those top 3 are actually the number one edge, and there doesn't seem to be any consensus on that, even though everybody's kind of just putting Dallas as number 1 because you have to.
I don't want that heat. If it was me, I'm not sure I want Turner. That's just me. I can't say to somebody else better. Chop has been visiting with us for quite a bit now. We can always use another edge rusher. We can't.
I'm a verse guy. He might not be like Latu's going to be your best, in my opinion. Latu's going to be your best guy to get. He's going to have the most sacks in this freaking year because he's going to be more closer to a designated pass rusher. But I think Burst is just skill set, bend, power, speed to power, etc. I just feel like he's that guy overall, and I think Dallas might be competing for that 3rd spot. But you know what?
I like
my job's not on the line to make that decision.
I'm gonna drop one name and we're gonna go ahead and get out of here in that regard. That's why this gonna be fun for next week. We're gonna do our homework. Bo and Raj, dig in, baby. It's all NFL draft. I ain't talking about no baseball. It's all NFL draft this week. Got you. Just because of the week that follows and how we may not even have a show next week, the week after that. So let's make it happen. But Austin Booker, just remember that name. Remember that name. He's a wild card, but remember that name. That might be somebody that you wish you had on your team in the upcoming year or two. So just watch out for that. His arm's a little bit shorter than Turner's, but he has some other credentials that you definitely want as a edge rusher. But all right, guys, tell everybody where they can find you at. Travis, Herb, and Raj, where can they find you, man?
You can find me on all the socials, Travis B. Holmes. You can find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on BigCatCountry.com. Actually just put on the post about the Jaguars rehiring of University of Michigan Director of Personnel, Tom Gable. He's welcoming him back to. We left the light on for him, so he's back in the fold.
Wow. Okay.
So I knew you'd appreciate that.
Tag me in that, please. Tag me, please. Tag me.
Oh, always good stuff from you, Travis, man. I appreciate your stuff, man.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
We're on Raj Herb on Twitter, X, and then you can search us out on Herb and Raj Podcast on YouTube and find all our videos. So tomorrow night, the birthday edition for the Herb and Raj Podcast. Raj's birthday is coming up this Saturday. So
the whole episode gonna be about his birthday. That man. He gonna be.
I mean, we might talk about some other stuff because we don't want everybody to get bored, but we will celebrate him as well. So
that man gonna be floating tomorrow night. I'm on somebody else's show, so I don't know if I can be able to catch it. I'm gonna do my very best to catch it. I don't want to miss you guys, but I think I can make it work. But yeah, man. But thanks for joining us again, man. We appreciate it, guys. And of course, on Wednesdays, our Wednesday wrap up. You see most of us here talking sports in the daily news and all the sports realms. Find us on our YouTube channel at They Call Me Mista Yu, and of course here on Monday mornings, live at 9 a.m. EST. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the music. Coach out.